thank you so much. Pleasure being here. A very warm welcome to the panelists. My name is Rashi Gupta, and I'm the co-founder at Rezo.ai. We are here to talk about synchronizing technology and the larger goals of India. Before we start, I'm going to be asking the gentlemen here for a very quick round of introduction, and then we'll take the session forward.
Hi, my name is Akshay Chaturvedi. I'm the founder and CEO of Leverage Edu and Fly Finance. We are an ecosystem that essentially helps students with their university admissions. We then help them with loans. We do remittances. We now do accommodation as well. So essentially a player which is ensuring that a student understands what they really want to do with their lives and then following them through the entire journey till they become successful. Glad to be here. Thank you so much. And lucky to be alongside some really cool panelists as well.
Hi, I'm Rahil Gupta. Thanks for having me here. So we are a two-wheeler OEM. We design, develop, and deploy electric two-wheelers pan-India, scooters and motorcycle. So we have distribution pan-India. And right now, we have a flagship product, Hop Oxo. The fundamental core of our business is providing mobility for all. So that's what we do. We are based out of Jaipur, and one of our corporate offices in Gurgaon. And I look forward to discuss possibilities.
Hi everyone, I'm the CTO and co-founder of SupplyNote. We basically operate in food space. We are a team from IT Kanpur, have been building in this space for over 8 years now. And we work with about 5,000 restaurants, and we basically help them digitize their supply chain, track food wastages, optimize on the purchases, and overall, bring efficiency in the bottom line of the business. Thank you so much for, calling us here, and happy to chat more.
First of all, thank you, PW, for allowing this platform. I'm Pankaj Goyal, representing AutoNxt Automation. I'm co-founder and COO for AutoNxt Automation. We are building EV tractor and also self-drive. We are the ones who are coming with the first 45 HP electric tractor in India. We have done trials across the country. Our tractor is going to be soon out. We are really looking at changing the game for our farmers' productivity in India. Looking forward to interacting with all of you.
Yeah. Thank you. And then we have Pankaj, who's joined us online. Pankaj, can we start with a very quick round of introduction from your side?
Sure. So I'm the second Pankaj on this panel, along with Pankaj Goyal. I'm the co-founder of Log9 Materials, India's leading EV battery technology company. We are the first company to produce and install lithium-ion cell fabrication cell manufacturing in India, which is the largest in Southeast Asia, which is at 50 megawatt hour. We have battery production capabilities now reach, which is at 250 megawatt hour. That's equivalent to almost 50,000 batteries a year. And our batteries go into two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheelers. The beauty of Log9 is that we're making electric vehicles that charge faster than a mobile phone. So two-wheelers get charged in 12 minutes, three-wheelers that can get done in 30 minutes, and four-wheelers that can be charged fully in 40 to 45 minutes. So it's all about bringing electric vehicle revolution through a fast charge, stable, India-made technology for the businesses.
Thanks, Pankaj. So as the topic says, synchronizing technology and the larger goals of India, we just wanted to, first, before we dwell into this topic, we just wanted to, hear from all of you gentlemen as to what are the goals that you are driving and how are they contributing to the ecosystem or the larger goals of India. Akshay, you could go first.
I can go first because you were interested in hearing my comments on this, so I'll do this for you. No, but I'll keep it brief. I think the way we think about contributing to India goals is purely by building India's soft power. If you see where we are as a country, as an economy right now, I think all of us will agree in the panel and the larger audience that this is a never before seen phenomenon. I think the last time this happened to us was probably 400, 500 years back. So we essentially need to pull forward in all directions. We need to pull forward from an EV perspective. We need to pull forward from a tractor perspective, from hardware, software, all of those perspectives. At the same time, we also need to be pulling forward from the perspective of our country really exerting its soft power all across the world. We are a part of Pravasi Bharati Divas whenever it happens. The fact that we've been able to do some of the most iconic deals with countries like UK, US, France recently, Prime Minister was there, with Australia, with the likes of Saudi Arabia, which we had never kind of done before in the last, not before the last decade. I think that's only because we have been I think we are seen as a power which is more global in nature as compared to China. The Indian economy is still 2.53 trillion. We dream to be a 5 trillion economy in the next 3 years. The Chinese economy is 19 trillion. But still India is kind of seen as having a leg over China, right? Despite I think if you just compound our current growth rate, we'll take, and even if China does not grow, it will take us another at least 35, 40 years to reach China's level, right? It's not like we are just there. We are still quite a distance away. And I think the only way in which you essentially start building out a different identity for yourselves as a country then is when you start coming across as a global player. And I think our Prime Minister, our External Affairs Minister, all of our other larger cabinet ministers, I think everybody's doing that. And we are trying to do that in our own small little way by building a platform which is ensuring that the right students in thousands and tens of thousands are able to represent India all across the world, are able to clinch great opportunities all across the world, become the leading CEOs of the world like we have seen in the US and everywhere else. And I'll just close it at the same thing as what I said in the beginning, kind of build India's soft power of sorts.
Akshay has been contributing, his larger goals are primarily contributing to the education sector, build in India, and take it to the world.
Correct.
Superb. Harshit, over to you to just hear what are your goals and how you're taking them forward.
Sure. So I think the industry that we operate in, food, it's one of the oldest industry, right? If you look at restaurants today, 1 out of 3 restaurants shut down in first year of operations. And, they're primarily like brands coming outside India, coming to India for scaling up. But you'll see very less brands from India going out and, expanding. And in the past 3 years, and, COVID has definitely accelerated, lot of investments and lot of growth has been happening in food service industry primarily. Restaurants are trying to grow out from a traditional single outlet to a chain setup. They have adopted technology, right, which was never their second nature, right? They are used to, managing everything on pen and paper. So I think as an industry and as a country, we are seeing a lot of digital adoption happening in one of the oldest sector, which was food. And that is a very exciting time to be in. And as the company, we are building on top of that. So we are helping restaurants, become more profitable, right? So there's less and less attrition. Yeah, so essentially what I would want for the country to do is that, more and more brands launch out of India, overseas, scale, become more profitable, right? So as an industry also, while, we are moving as a culture to eating out, we do it more in a profitable way.
Very useful. And I think the culture of eating out is increasing. So I am hoping that, this is going to be anyways aiding to the overall ecosystem. So Pankaj, over to you.
Yep, very interesting topic. And I feel really proud to be back in the country. I worked abroad for some time, back in the country, contributing to the core sector where India has built decades of its economy earlier, which is agriculture. Farmers form a huge part of our working population and the people who work in the farms. Apart from just work in the farm, the food products which are taken from the farm to the storage and all the last mile delivery in the interiors or the rural part of India, which is massive, it's done with tractors. And we are the largest producers of tractors in number of units in the world. India produced over 9 lakh tractors last year. The total market is about 20-25 lakh tractors all around the world. But our farmers needing more productivity. So we are bringing, as AutoNxt, we are bringing electric and self-drive tractor to improve the productivity for this very core sector. And we believe that there is a figure that $20 billion worth of fuel is consumed by tractors in India. India, our foreign exchange bill, there is a lopsided effect because of the fuel. And more and more we replace the import of fuel in our country, we're going to benefit in a very, very big way, leave aside the benefits on environment, the crop health, where you don't need diesel and those kinds of unfriendly for food kind of things. So electric tractors can really contribute to this major challenge. The second element for AutoNxt is autonomous tractors. So while we build the electric tractor, we are also building autonomous tractors. For sure, the high-cost country, the labor cost is high. There are tough conditions in the farm to work. You need autonomous system, and it'll be no-brainer. That's going to be very, very, very lucrative. But let me tell you, working on a tractor, it's like driving a car without shock absorbers on a very bad road. So driving a tractor, when somebody does that job for 3-4 years, you end up damaging your back permanently. Some of the other damage does happen. So electric tractor is a very, there is no vibration, it is very smooth, there's no noise. So if you go in interiors of Punjab, you will see those big speakers on the tractor. They are called columns, by the way. And when they are working, the tractor is making so much noise and you have to work all through the day. So they put these huge speakers. Now our tractor, you can literally put a Harman Kardon system, which is a very sophisticated car audio system, because there is no noise. So I think leave aside these fancy things, there are the working conditions in the farm are very tough. And more and more youth, the new youth of India, is not preferring to work there. So we have whatever, you may say that we have unemployment issues and things like that, but in the farm area, you have issues of labor, the shortage of labor, especially in the peak season time when the cutting has to be done, or the buai, or the seed, the next crop has to be built. You have shortage of labor, and we very strongly believe that autonomous, at the price that we are planning to bring it, it is going to really help the productivity and allow the people who want to stay in farming to do farming in a very, very different way. So yeah, this is our take.
Rahil, would you like to comment?
Yeah, sure. So I agree with all of the panelists here. And what fundamentally we believe in is mobility for all. So when we started, we realized that mobility is the single function where humans actually evolve. There was a time you can only move through legs, and then you can only reach a certain point. Then you transitioned into a cycle. Then you transitioned into a steam engine, and then you can go further. The further you go, the further you have empowerment. The further you can get opportunities in. The further you can work, you can explore. So it's a fundamental thesis of evolution, and we believe the transition which we are seeing with electric revolution happening across the world, it's once in a century. And this creates a very huge dent in the automotive history. Second point, why we believe what we're doing is because we wanted to create a hardware startup out of India. So in India, we have cracked the software part of it because of our English speaking and our engineering talent, but it was still seen as lacking for hardware. On our Forex bill, both the crude and the hardware plays the most important imports from China and from Saudi. We wanted to reverse it. India can do hardware. India can build hardware startups which are for and across the world. And that's what we are trying to do and solve for. Electric vehicles are a multidisciplinary field. It requires a lot of engineering talent. And in India, we do not have any lack of it. So while Akshay say we are building a soft power for the world, I completely agree and I support that we will be starting from India, building those core capabilities in-house and then exporting for the world. That's how we crack India, and that's how we put India on the global map of superpower in terms of talent and
Absolutely,
tech.
absolutely.
So that's our vision for hardware, and that's our vision for mobility for all, and that's what we're trying to do with, say, a limited scale. As the sector increases, we are going to transition into much more complex products, and I believe India will do it.
So education, EV, supply chain, automotive, we would love to hear from you, Pankaj. What's your larger goal, and how are they contributing to the overall ecosystem for India?
I think exactly like what everybody is burning to do is to build this country. I was fortunate enough to get very good education in this country, and somebody paid for it. The school that I went to, the colleges that I went to, the higher education that I had, there was a taxpayer that was paying for it. And this is the time to give back. That's the sentiment that kind of runs across in our organization at Log9. All of us feel very responsible to build this country. That's the emotional part of it. The practicality then comes out with how are you going to build this country? And we truly believe that technology holds the key for massive transformation. We've entered the age where there are technologies that can go massive. You've just seen ChatGPT get launched, and then it's a global adoption. Out of the 7.5 billion people, almost 1 billion people using that. So the moment you launch the right technology, it enables and empowers the social structure very strongly. We are guided by one single principle that the carbon dioxide emissions have happened so far that it only gives us about a decade, 7 years to a decade, for us to reduce carbon emissions and then hold off the carbon heating of the planet. Any technology that's going to help you get there will make your planet more sustainable, will give development to the country. Second, you've got to nurture the talent in this country. Like some of the best brains, just imagine if somehow for some reason you can delete a Microsoft or Google from the US. Do you think the US will not be able to bounce back? They will be, right? And it's the human capital that they have been able to build over there. And we need to do the same here. How do you hold talent here? By creating technology and companies that they like to come and work for. And so the two effects that gonna come out is you build great technologies that gonna support domestic production and consumption, and you retain the talent here. So they just spend money on the school, the children, they take care of the house help, and your economy kind of booms up. We spend about $120 billion in oil import every year. Imagine if we can make our own oil, and we don't send that money out, and we distribute that money internally in this country. And that's the revolution on which all of us are here, which is the EV revolution, the lithium ion. In our opinion, the lithium ion cell is the new oil. And that's what this company is all about. Log9 is all about building that cell, giving India its first drop of oil.
Post hearing everybody, I would also like to bring about what we are doing at Rezo and how are we contributing, what are our goals and how are we contributing to the larger goals of India. So Rezo primarily is an AI company, and we are driving automation, but the major aim or the major goal for the company is to drive efficiencies for organizations, net efficiencies. We are somebody who makes sure that anybody sitting in the organization is not idle. He is productive to the level that any contribution that is going towards his spend, right, he's basically putting any penny that the company is putting on him there is an output coming from there. So the net, and if I nail it down, what we are doing is we are in today's avatar, you can call us like as a large call center, which is driven primarily by tech and by product. There are no callers here. And what we are saying is that anything which is very repetitive in nature can be very easily done by the ecosystem of the bot, which is primarily AI machine learning. And when I drive that for the larger organization, repetitive goes for that could be easily automated. Anything that is going to the human, right? We do a very solid analytics at the back end to be able to make sure that anybody who's sitting out there is extremely productive. Now, if I sum up this productivity for across larger organization, the large ecosystem, we are driving net productivity for the larger organizations, larger ecosystems, so that any spend that is being done, right, it has an ROI. So that's the motto that we drive, and that's the goal that we are driving. We are building technology within India for the world. So that's the motto that we carry. And just because the topic talks about the technology and the goals, we've already understood the goals. I would be very keen to understand from Akshay, the technology that you have built and the goal that you're driving. Maybe we could dwell a little bit more on the kind of technology that you have built. How did you go about it? Any hassles that you had in the beginning to go about it? And how are you solving all of that?
I'll keep it brief again, but largely in our business, we have tech that drives efficiency. We have tech that drives acquisition. We have tech that drives retention, and all of those kind of move in different ways. So let me give you a couple of examples. Recently, we launched something called UniValley OS, which is an operating system for universities, within which we have 3 products. We have a product called UniValley Admit, UniValley Cred, UniValley Pay. UniValley Admit essentially says that every application which is coming to the university today, it automatically essentially gets relegated to either the red lane or the green lane or the orange lane. Now, if the student essentially has met all their objective criteria, they have a certain score on their IELTS or 10th marks and 12th marks and graduation marks, if 2 years of work experience needed and if they have like say 2.5 years of work experience, if all the objective criteria are kind of really well met out, there's an API that the university and our app shares, and immediately the student gets an offer letter, which would have taken like say 3 weeks, 4 weeks. This is happening immediately, like a policy bazaar of sorts,
very
right?
nice.
That's what Univalley Admit does. What it does more importantly though is that in the past you would have 10,000 students who would submit their applications before the deadline. But the university has very limited bandwidth. So they will only look at the first 2,000. So baki 8,000, they will essentially not give a damn about it. Now they essentially will ensure that, okay, that everything essentially goes through a machine, and there's a very fair way of, transparent way of ensuring that every application is looked into and there's a fair way of evaluating who makes it to the college. There's another product called Univalley Pay. So we essentially built a forex business over time where students use our platform called Fly Finance by Leverage to remit money to universities all across the world. Last month we did about 75 crores a month worth of forex in a month. 21 months back it was 1.5 crores a month. Wow. So we built out the B2C part of it, and then we went to universities and said that, boss, I am responsible for 10 to 15% of our entire recruitment. Why don't you ensure the remaining 85% also kind of use my platform? So we've built the B2B layer to it, and ensuring that the universities also are able to manage their payments more seamlessly coming from different regions, and we essentially hold a license from the RBI to be able to do that. Another product there is, for example, and I won't bore you too much, called Univalley Cred, which is ensuring that, which is something that universities love right now. We have been able to pilot this with 6 universities, primarily in the UK and US, where there's a generative AI layer which interviews the students. So for example, if, I wish I could have shown you a demo. So for example, if I am giving an interview right now, the machine asks me a question about, say, my extracurricular activities, and the AI is tracking whether like my eye coordination is in line or not. The AI essentially ensures whether I'm speaking something which is relevant or not. And now essentially I'm able to ensure that rather than there's a 3 people, 4 people admission team, they might not have the bandwidth to say interview 10,000 people or 5,000 people. Now the machine can do that, and there's still a human element to it, of course, because it's something as important as education. But they can essentially have much more efficiency built out in terms of how they do it, right? So this is on the university side. On the student side, we would have something called, we have our own community app called Study Abroad with Leverage, where we see about 8,000 plus posts every single day. So you would have like one post that I saw yesterday morning, which we were discussing in office, was there were 2 girls in Birmingham figuring out, okay, I have this Pakistani landlord, we're 2 Indian girls, we're figuring out how to get the 3rd one. We want a Pakistani girl alongside us. Which is incredible, right? Like, itna rent hai, itna rehna hai, or I'm going out, like, is this professor good or not? Yeah. There's a community angle that kind of builds out here. Then we essentially have products built out we have a product called Leverage Launchpad. And I love what you were talking about, and we should connect separately as well. So we have about 700 counselors who do about 220,000 counselings every single month. Yeah. And you know why I'm saying that, right? So we have a product called Leverage Launchpad, where we try to automate a lot of and productize a lot of what they really do with the students. Got it. Because I don't want that if a counselor leaves tomorrow, the student experience should be broken.
Yeah. So the whole knowledge base has to be retained. That's
has
the
to be
IP.
productized.
Yes, it has to be productized as the IP, right? I mean, that is where it is. Yes.
Correct. So the idea is that you basically, I think as a company, we have never built any technology that, like just to kind of feel happy about it. I think there's been a business motive behind every single piece of technology that we built out, that it has to help either in acquisition, either the CAC has to really go down. So Mirat is here in the audience, my colleague. We built out a platform called Wings. We see about 120 million unique users on the platform every single month, all organic. 63% of our entire acquisition is organic today, which is why we became profitable about 8 months back, which is why we've been able to essentially raise around. So there's an acquisition piece coming in, there's an engagement piece coming in, there's a building moats on the university side, building moats on the student side. So I think tech has to essentially move line in line with every single line item on the P&L and balance sheet, and I think that's how you build it out.
Absolutely.
It's slightly dhanda way of looking at it.
Absolutely, and I think also the kind of space that you're moving, this is like, students, educators put together, right? The counselors, the universities put together, that whole ecosystem is very, very powerful. And that whole screening business, this is a pain across the board. It's not a pain, you're solving one of a very big pain, right? We
do this internally for our interviews as well now.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what has to happen, right? If you have built a product for your customers, right? It has to be first consumed internally. So that's how the benchmarking happens. Fantastic. Rahil, what would you say about the tech that you have built and how have you built that?
When we started, as I mentioned, there was not enough talent or the hardware capabilities in India. So it's been a journey. We have to upskill a lot of them. We have to take the trainings from different part of the world of how to do it. So, and I'm proud to say that right now we are one of those OEMs who have in-house developed core components into the automotive. So automotive system is a very complex system. It works on a lot of sub-components, and those sub-components needs to work in synergy with each other to make the product successful. So India, till date, was known not for system design, but for system integration. And that's what we are trying to change right now. We need to develop those core competencies and those core components like Pankaj is doing for the cells, other companies for doing for the motors. For EV, there are a lot of like 100 plus sub-components which needs to go into the vehicle to make it a complete vehicle. And India lacks that talent and the capacities and the capabilities to deliver. So what we're trying to do, we are trying to push the critical components first and create a value chain which will sustain itself for all of the other players. So when we started, the supplier, they do not want to talk to us because the volumes we command was very low. Plus, they do not have the competencies to deliver on those products. So we work with them. We work with them for years to deliver, and now we have at a stage that India is creating a good value chain out of an EV ecosystem. And we have a lot of companies who are partnering with the other Japanese, Chinese, US companies who are delivering those core products. So that was from the hardware front. We have a product called Hop Neuron, which is an asset monitoring and control system. So each of our bike is connected via 4G, and we get all the data points real time from that vehicle. And this is important to monitor and control the performance. So now, even after we do not have a TPMS or a tire pressure monitoring system, using AI, I can detect if the pressure of the tire is low or not. We have those algorithms built in. Especially that is critical for getting the feedback loop for the R&D, but also the evaluating performance for the safety of the rider.
Wow.
Two-wheelers are the most exposed vehicles there is on the roads, and we need to ensure the safety of the rider is as critical as the product quality.
And also you can build a lot of, especially I see a lot of AI being built, especially in the auto world, auto sector primarily, right? Yeah. The EV or the auto sector. I mean, there is so much of analytical, the driver when he's driving, the road safety. There are so many aspects that are being taken care of and are being developed on the fly. Yes.
Correct. Plus, in addition to that, if you come to the back end, we have a dealer management system. We have an ERP to connect to our suppliers who can get the part. We also map the carbon footprint of all of those value chains. So that is a job to be done, and no one has done it in India till date, but we are trying to do it in-house so that the core capabilities remain and we can learn above those.
Correct.
So
thank you.
That's what we're trying to do in India, which we can be exported throughout the world. That value chain is still very new for the world.
Got it. Thank you. Over to you. Harshit,
yeah. So when we started back in 2015, we never planned that we'll solve for restaurants, right? We just stumbled across it, but
and you mentioned that you were doing absolutely very different sort of science, and then you moved into the tech part of it.
Yeah, so we were dabbling with offline ad industry, and how do we bring more accountability in it, and restaurants were just a test subjects for us, right? But as we learned more, we realized that restaurant supply chain is very complex, and it is more complex because people don't use systems. It's largely driven by people, and that is why there's a lot of pilferage, there's a lot of wastage, and there's just a lot of inefficiencies overall. So this was our primary challenge when we started working with restaurants, and we realized that to really solve this supply chain, you cannot just solve it from an outside point of view. You have to really go in deep, and that's when we started working with restaurants. We actually became suppliers to restaurants. At one point, we were delivering them raw materials. We were taking angry calls on where our supplies are There were a lot of restaurants who would not pay on time, right? So overall, I mean, restaurants, even if you look at from an NBFC point of view, there is no digital record on which they can lend credit to restaurants. So there were many, many pieces missing in restaurant supply chain. But we always believe, and we still believe that, a technology has a very large play in solving this. And so that's the mission we started with. And today, where we are sitting at is we have a bunch of products starting from a point of sale, which integrates with your Swiggy, Zomato, with your, where you can take orders from your dine-in customers, to a very comprehensive supply chain management tool, which touches upon sites like, your operating outlets, your central kitchen, warehouses, even, your accounts team uses that product, right, to maintain supplier ledgers and receivables, all the way to procurement team, knowing where can I buy cheaper supplies, right? So we also have a marketplace where restaurants can buy supplies, which, we also aim to, bring in more efficiency in the supply chain, make it, more carbon friendly. And also we'll do warehousing and logistic for bigger brand, where they want to, offload that operational hassle to us. Because, so as a company, we have a mix of DNA of operators and as well as, technology folks. So yeah, it has been an interesting journey. If you look at restaurant supply chain today, there are a lot of carbon emission points, like the manufacturing of items at the central kitchen, the raw material that they purchase from suppliers, and even, the utility expenses of, energy, cooking fuel. So we are sitting at a point where we are the only system in the country which has all that data, because of the technology that we have built, and also because we are the only system which restaurants are kind of willing to use, right? Because of the overall connectivity that we have brought in end to end. So yeah, I mean, that's how we are bringing.
Super, and wishing you a lot of luck.
Yeah, thanks. We might need it.
Absolutely, I think we all need it, right? We are on that journey where, you never know what are you going to be receiving the next hour. So I think everybody needs it. Over to you, Pankaj.
Yep. So agriculture full of challenges, and tractor, such a versatile machine. You try to do anything with it, you have to really think, because it's a machine that has evolved over the years, and it provides so many functionalities to do anything with it. So very clearly, the first thing that Kaustubh started the company back in 2016. So what he was trying to do with his college pass-out friends was to build an autonomous tractor. So they initially rented a diesel tractor, they built autonomy on it, and they found that it was very hard to build autonomy on an IC engine tractor, and it is better to go for an EV tractor. And anyways, EV was becoming known, and that was, I'm talking about 2017. That is when the idea of EV tractor came to Kaustubh and AutoNxt. So what we have done is we have created a powertrain that is tuned for high torque, rugged, off-road, very hazardous or different kind of an environment compared to a car which runs on paved road and stuff like that. Plus, the tractor needs a lot of traction, the word tractor. So you need a very different voltage system. You need different, what Rahil was mentioning, that integrating different systems, it's not that simple. And we have done it specifically for the application of tractor, and it is like marriage made for that application. That is first part of, so bringing that EV. A lot of the other companies have brought in garden tractors. We started straight from 45 HP tractors, which is the 65% of the country market in India, and worldwide it's about 35–40% of the segment. So this is a segment which is broadly addressing the major tractor market. Our tractor, what we're trying to do is to keep it the productivity or the energy saving so much that the higher initial battery cost is offset in like 1.5 to 2 years. So that's been a good challenge. Tractors work in very hot conditions, 50 degrees. So the entire system has to be robust enough to not get heated up, etc. Then the second thing that we have worked on is autonomous.
Pankaj, I will have to pause because we have to also hear the other Pankaj
Yep.
who's online.
Yeah, so just one line, Pankaj, for you. Then we worked on autonomous. So that is our own stack. And we are trying to do that in off-road. So on-road, there are a lot of autonomous engines. Off-road, there's not much data and material. So we are trying to find solutions for, especially through vineyards, grape vineyards and special lanes, etc. Yeah, a lot of other things. I would just love to go
Absolutely.
on, but Pankaj, over to you.
Over to you, Pankaj. We'll keep it brief, but happy to hear
Sure.
your inputs.
Yeah, very quickly, if genesis of Log9 was, so Akshay was the founder of the company, figured out a way to synthesize graphene in his home kitchen, and his parents were kind enough to give him a home kitchen to do that. And with that graphene coming out, we started to look at what can we use graphene for, and obviously we went out with the classical stuff. We started to look at air filters and filtration systems. Over a period of time, we saw that energy is a very big area where materials like carbons are used, and we went ahead and modified a lead-acid battery. And lead-acid battery has not been improved over the last almost a decade. And just by doping a little bit of graphene at the right place, we were able to show that a simple lead-acid battery can run a little longer. And from there, the journey started of energy. We started to build India's first aluminum air fuel cell. And when we built that fuel cell, we needed a battery to store energy because fuel cells generate energy. And then that was our entry into lithium ion. We imported stuff from China and realized it doesn't work for India. And that's the pivot or the eureka moment for Log9, when we saw that you can buy stuff from China, but it was all designed for European and the North American countries or the North American climate. India, you have temperatures at 40, 45 degrees, drive cycles are 150 kilometers. Everybody wants to fast charge. Nobody has a garage to charge it in the night. And hence, here we are with Log9, the fastest charging batteries.
Thank you. Thanks for driving that. Thank you. So very quickly, we at Rezo, the kind of technology that we have built, this is basically, in simplistic word, 120 people, all techies, all product. And we are currently, the traffic that we are handling traffic equivalent to 20,000 warm bodies. And the mandate that we are carrying is to become the largest contact center in the world. And this is not just like, the kind of technology that we are building is purely machine learning, AI, a lot of analytics at the back end. And I think the way this whole thing is being driven, right? I mean, that's the larger goal, right, broadly. If you can look at things in a very systematic, in a very systematic manner, there is a lot of possibility that you can bring in a lot of automation in any spectrum. And I think each of us here is building technology that is becoming a powerhouse, or that is contributing to the overall ecosystem. So this is where I would like to just take a pause and would like to thank everyone here. Thank you so much. And thanks for putting this together. Thank you.
Well, thanks to you. Thank you.